It is necessary to profoundly comprehend what, in reality, is the cosmic Christ. It is urgent to know, in the name of truth, that Christ is not someone merely historical. People are used to thinking of Christ as a historical person that existed 2,000 years ago. Such a concept is erroneous. Christ is not of time. Christ is timeless. Christ unfolds itself from instant to instant, moment to moment. Christ, in itself, is the sacred fire, the cosmic sacred fire. If we were to strike a match, fire would germinate. Scientists say that fire is the result of combustion, but this is false. The fire that germinated from the match is contained within the match. Only when we strike the match do we free it from its imprisonment, and the flame appears. We can say then that fire in itself is not the result of combustion, but rather, combustion is the result of the fire. It is important to know, my dear brothers, that what interests us the most is the fire of the fires, the flame of the flames, the subject of the astral fire. The hand that strikes the match so that the flame appears has fire, life, otherwise it would not be able to move. After the match dies off, the flame continually exists in the fourth vertical. The scientists do not know what fire is. They utilize it, but do not know it. Thus, my dear brothers, it is important for you to comprehend what fire is. Before the dawn of creation vibrated intensively, fire made its apparition. Remember, my dear brothers, that there are two ones. The first one is Elohim. The second is Elohim. The first one is unknown, the incognito, the divinity that cannot be painted, nor symbolized, neither sculpted. The second one germinates from the first one, and is the demiurgus architect of the universe, the fire. I wish you to understand that one is the fire that burns in the earth and the altar, and the other is the fire of the spirit, like Elohim or Elohim. Elohim is therefore the demiurgus, the army of the voice, the grand word. Each one of the constructors of the universe is a living flame, living fire. It is written that God is a devouring fire. Fire is Christ, the cosmic Christ. Elohim in itself germinated from Elohim. When Elohim unfolds, he endures as two to initiate the cosmic manifestation into its wife, the Divine Mother. When the one unfolds into the two, then emerges the three, which is the fire. The beings of the fire fertilize the water of existence, and then the chaos converts itself into the divine androgynous. Thus, it is important to comprehend that the army of the voice, the army of the word, is fire, and that living fire, that philosophical fire that fertilizes the chaotic matter, is the cosmic Christ, the Logos, the grand word. But in order for the Logos to come into manifestation, the one must unfold into the two. That is to say, the Father unfolds into the Mother, and from the union of the two opposites is born the third, the fire. That fire is the Logos, Christ that makes the existence of the universe in the dawn of any creation. It is important to understand better what Christ is, in order so that we will not merely be happy with remembering the historical account, because Christ is a reality from instant to instant, moment to moment, second to second. He is the creator. Fire has the power to create atoms and to disintegrate them, the power to use the universal cosmic powers, etc. Fire has the power to unite all the atoms and create universes or to disintegrate universes. The world is a fireball that either burns or goes out according to the laws. So Christ is the fire, and because of that you will see written in the cross the words Ignis Natura Renovator Integram, INRI, which means that fire renovates, rejuvenates nature continually. Now, I believe you are beginning to understand why the subject of the astral fire, the flame of the flames, the occult, the esoteric aspect of fire, interests us. In reality, it is the fire that is Christic, that has the power to transform all that is, all that has been, and all that will be. Without INRI, it would not be possible to Christify ourselves. As I have said, the intimate Christ, the cosmic Christ, has to take 3 steps from the bottom to top through the 7 regions of the universe. I have also said that Christ must take the 3 steps from the bottom to top. Here is the mystery of the 3 and 7 steps of the Freemasonry. It is a real shame that the Masonic brothers have forgotten all this. In any case, the Christos, the Logos, shines in the zenith of the spiritual midnight. Like in the Occident or in the Orient, and in each of these 3 positions, it is repeated in the 7 regions. The mystic who guides himself by the star of the night, by the spiritual sun, knows that those 3 steps mean inside the 7 regions. Let us also think of the sun, of lightning and fire. Here are the 3 lights, the 3 aspects of the Logos in the 7 regions. When the one unfolds into the 2, from it emerges the 3rd, and this one is the fire, and it creates and recreates again. This one can create with the power of the word, with the solar word, or magic word, or the word of the central sun. Thus, the Logos is created. By means of fire, we can Christify ourselves. It is vain for Christ to be born in Bethlehem if he is not born in our hearts. Fruitless is his crucifixion, death and resurrection in the Holy Land, if he is not born, does not die, or resurrect in ourselves as well. We need to incarnate the cosmic Christos, the spirit of fire, to make its flesh in ourselves. As long as we stand idle, we are dead to the things of the spirit, because it is life, the Logos, the grand word. Heru Pakroat. He is Vishnu. The word Vishnu comes from the root vish, which means to penetrate. He penetrates everything that is, has been, and will be. We need him to penetrate us so that he can change us radically. He who pretends to disintegrate the ego with only the intellect marches along in error. We obviously need to know ourselves if we really want to Christify ourselves. If we want to know ourselves to achieve the Christification, we need to self-observe ourselves, to see ourselves. Only through this path is it possible for us to one day arrive at the disintegration of the ego. The ego is the sum total of all our defects: anger, lust, greed, envy, pride, laziness, gluttony, etc., etc., etc. Even if we were to have 1,000 tongues to speak and a palate of steel, we would not be able to articulate the number of all our defects precisely. As I have said, we need to self-observe ourselves to know ourselves, because if we observe ourselves, we discover our psychological defects, and then we can work on them. When someone admits that he has a psychological defect, he begins to observe himself. This, in fact, converts him into a different being. My dear Gnostic brothers, I want you to understand the necessity of learning to observe oneself, to see oneself. However, one must know how to observe, because there is one way, the mechanical observation, and another, the conscious observation. Someone who hears of our teaching for the first time would say, "But what do I gain from observing myself? I have seen that I have anger, jealousy. So what?" Well, it is quite clear that this is the mechanical observation. We need to observe the observer. This is the conscious observation of ourselves. The mechanical observation of ourselves is never going to take us anywhere. It is absurd, unconscious, sterile. We need conscious self-observation to work on our defects. If we feel anger at a given moment, let us observe the observed, the scene of anger. We must not put it off and do it later. Let us do it now. When we observe the observed, what we see in ourselves, we will really know if it was anger or not, because it could have been a nervous syncope that we mistook for anger. If, suddenly, we are invaded by jealousy, well, let us observe the observed. What was it that we observed? Maybe the woman was with another man. Or, if a woman, the man was with another woman, and we felt jealous. In any case, in a serene and profound meditation, let us observe the observed to know if, in reality, there existed jealousy or not. When we observe the observed by means of meditation and the obvious self-reflection, we therefore turn observation into consciousness. When we become conscious of such and such a defect of a psychological type, we can work on it with the fire. We would have to concentrate on Stella Maris, Tonantzin, Rhea, Martha, etc., who is derived from one part of our being and is the igneous serpent of our magical powers, the sacred cobra of the ardent fire. With her flaming powers, we can disintegrate the psychological defect, the psychic aggregate that we have observed consciously. It is obvious, at the same time, that the essence or trapped fire in the psychic aggregate that we disintegrate will shine, will be freed. And as we go on disintegrating the aggregates, the percentage of the essence, which is the Christic fire, will multiply. Finally, one day, the fire will shine fully inside ourselves, here and now. We need the fire to seethe within us. Only the sacred name or Inri, put on the cross of the martyr of Calvary, can break the psychic aggregates. All those who pretend to eliminate all their aggregates without taking the fire into account march down a mistaken path. They are not only heading the wrong way, but are also confusing others. It is said that Christ was born in the town of Bethlehem about 2,000 years ago. This is false, because the town of Bethlehem did not exist at that time. Bethlehem has a Chaldean root, Ben, and Ben is fire, the tower of fire of the Chaldeans. In our body, the head and neck are the tower, because the rest of the body is the temple. He who has been able to bring up the fire in himself, he who has brought it up to his brain, up to the top in fact, will be able to convert himself into the body of the Christus, the fire, the spirit of the fire. It is the primitive original fire who is able to Christify us totally. It is the fire, the Fohat blazing within us, who will transform us totally. Once the fire blazes in us, we will be transformed into totally different beings. We will become different beings. Then we will enjoy full illumination and cosmic powers. Thus, once understood, my brothers, we must work with the fire. To whoever knows, the word gives him power. No one has pronounced it. No one will pronounce it. Only he who has incarnated it. Christ, the Spirit of Fire, is not merely a historical personage. He is the army of the voice. He is the force that is beyond the personality, ego, and individuality. He is a force like electricity and magnetism, a power, a great cosmic and universal manifestation. He is the cosmic fire that enters into the man-woman who is adequately prepared, into the man who has that tower of Bethlehem ablaze. When Christ incarnates inside a man, the latter is transformed radically. He is the blessed child that must be born in each being. Thus, as he was born in this universe millions of years ago to totally transform this solar system, he must be born in each one of us. He was born in the stable of Bethlehem. That is to say, he is born among the animals of desire, among the psychological aggregates that he needs to eliminate. Only fire can eliminate such aggregates. Thus, wherever these aggregates are, the fire appears to destroy them, to reduce them to cosmic dust, and to free the essence. How can he free the soul if he does not penetrate profoundly into the human organism? In the Orient, Christ is Vishnu, and I repeat, the word Vish means to penetrate. The fire, the Christ, the Logos, can penetrate profoundly into the human organism to burn the scum that we have inside ourselves. But we need to love the fire, to render cult to the flame. The hour has come to understand that only Fohat can transform us radically. The Christ inside ourselves works eliminating the root of evil. Inri eliminates the psychological aggregates. This is formidable. It reduces them to ashes, but it is necessary to work with the fire. This is why, in our works of concentration, we must invoke the igneous serpent of our magical powers, because only with the fire can we eliminate all the undesirable elements that we carry within ourselves. The lunar coldness will never be able to eliminate the psychic aggregates. We need the flaming powers of the Logos. We need the Inri to transform ourselves. My dear brothers, understand what the Holy Week is and what the 7 days of the Holy Week are. In the ancient times, everything was directed by the solar calendar: Moon, Mercury, Venus, Sun, Mars, Jupiter, and Saturn. The days were Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday. Unfortunately, this calendar was altered by medieval fanatical people. The Holy Week is profoundly significant. Remember the 7 and 3 steps of Freemasonry. The Christ must seethe first of all in our human body. Later on, the flame must be deposited in the profoundness of the soul, and at last in the profoundness of the spirit. These 3 steps through the 7 spheres are profoundly significant. Obviously, these 3 fundamental steps are found within the 7 spheres of the world and the universe. Unquestionably, the Holy Week has very deep esoteric roots, because the initiate must work on the lunar forces, and on the forces of Mercury, Venus, the Sun, Mars, Jupiter, and Saturn. The Logos unfolds itself in the 7 regions, according to the 7 planets of the solar system. The flame must appear in the physical body, must advance into the vital body, must continue its passage through the astral, must continue its journey through the world of the mind, must arrive at the sphere of Venus in the causal world, must proceed through the Buddhic or intuitive world, and at last, on the 7th day, it will arrive at the world of Atman, the world of the spirit. Then, the Master will receive the baptism of the fire that will transform him radically. Obviously, the whole cosmic drama, as it is written in the 4 Gospels, must be lived inside ourselves, here and now. This is not something merely historical, it is something to be lived here and now. The 3 traitors who crucified Christ, who gave him death, are inside ourselves. The Masons know them. We Gnostics also know them. Judas, Pilate, and Caiaphas. Judas is the demon of desire that torments us. Pilate is the demon of the mind that has justifications for everything. Caiaphas is the demon of laziness that prostitutes the altar. These are the traitors who crucified Christ for 30 coins of silver. The 30 coins of silver represent all the vices and passions of the world. They traded Christ for a few bottles at the bar. They traded Christ for the brothel of the adulterous bed. They traded Christ for money and riches, and for the sensual life. They sold Christ for 30 coins of silver. Dear brothers, remember that a multitude of people asked for the crucifixion of the Lord. All the multitudes yelled out, "Crucifixion! Crucifixion!" These are not the multitudes of 2,000 years ago. No. These people who demanded the crucifixion of the Lord are inside ourselves here and now. I repeat, here and now. These are the psychic, inhuman aggregates that we carry in our interior. All are undesirable psychic elements that we carry inside, the red demons of Seth, living personifications of all our psychological defects. They are the ones that cry, "Crucifixion, crucifixion," and the Lord is rendered to death. Who whipped him? Are they not the same multitudes we carry in our interior? Who are the ones that spit on him? Are they not the same psychic aggregates that personify our defects? Who crowned him with a crown of thorns? Are they not the same engenderers of the inferno which we have created? The account of Christic history is not of yesterday, but of today. It is the present, not merely the past, as the illustrious ignorants believe. However, those who will understand will work for the Christification. The Lord is elevated to Calvary, and on top of the majestic summits of Calvary will say, "He who believes in me shall never walk in darkness, but will have the light of life. I am the bread of life. I am the living bread. Whoever eats from my flesh and drinks from my blood shall have eternal life, and I shall raise him from the dead in the last day. Whoever eats from my flesh and my blood, I live in him, and he in me. The Lord bears no malice for anyone. Dear Father, in your hands I commend my spirit." Once the grand words are pronounced, no other sound can be heard but thunder and lightning in the midst of internal cataclysms. Once this opus of the spirit in the body is accomplished, the Christ or Christos, the Christus, Vishnu, the one who penetrates, will be deposited in its mystic sepulchre. I say unto you, in the name of truth and justice, that on the 3rd day after this 3rd act, the initiate will be raised and resurrected to be transformed into a perfect being. He who achieves this will in fact become a god, terribly divine, beyond good and evil. Thus the Christ, our Lord, the Spirit of fire, descends and wants to come inside each one of us to transform us, save us, to eliminate all those psychic aggregates that we carry in our interior, to make out of us something distinct, to convert us into gods. We need to learn to see Christ, not from a merely historical point of view, but as the fire, as a present reality, as Inri. It is said that he has 12 apostles. Those 12 apostles are inside ourselves here and now. They are 12 fundamental parts of our own being, the 12 powers inside ourselves, within our own profound interior being. There is Peter, who is in charge of the mysteries of sex. There is John, who represents the verb, the grand word, herupa kroat. There is also Thomas, who teaches us to control the mind. There is a Paul, who shows us the path of wisdom, philosophy, and Gnosis. Inside ourselves, we also find Judas. Not the Judas that renders Christ for 30 silver coins. No, it is a different Judas. A Judas who understands profoundly the ego. A Judas whose gospel takes us to the elimination of the self, the I. There is a Philip, who is capable of showing us how to travel outside the physical body through space. There is an Andrew, who indicates to us with precise clarity that there are 3 factors of the revolution of consciousness. To be born, that is to say, how to create the superior existential bodies of the being. To die, that is to say, how to eliminate the particular factors that specifically relate to us and are each one of us. Sacrifice for humanity, St. Andrew's Cross text times $, indicating the mixing of sulfur and mercury so indispensable for the creation of the superior existential bodies of the being. This, by means of the accomplishment of the Parlock duty, is significantly profound. A Matthew, scientist as no other, exists in ourselves. He teaches us the pure science, unknown to the scientists that nowadays are in style and tomorrow pass into history. Pure science is completely different. Only Matthew can instruct us in this. Luke, with his solar gospel, is a prophet and shows us what life should be like in the golden age. Each of the 12 is within ourselves, because our being has 12 fundamental parts, the 12 apostles, here and now. Thus, whoever wishes to be a magician in the true sense of the word will have to learn how to relate to themselves, to each part of the 12 parts of the being. This is only possible by burning the psychological aggregates with Inri. As long as the ego keeps on existing inside ourselves, the correct relation with each one of the parts of our being will be impossible. Then erase from your mind the idea of the 12 historical apostles. Search for them inside yourselves. They are there. Everything is inside ourselves, here and now. The time has come for a more esoteric, more pure, more real Christianity. The time to leave the merely historic accounts and to come to the reality of the facts. The cross itself is deeply significant. We very well know that the vertical phallus inside the uterus form the cross. We will emphasize this in other words by saying, the lingam yoni, connected correctly, forms a cross. With this cross we need to advance on the path that will conduct us to the Golgotha of the Father. I invite all of you to enter the path of Christification. Do not forget that every time the Lord of Compassion comes to the world, he is hated by 3 types of men. The elders, because they are people full of experience, they say, "That man is crazy. Look what he is up to." Do not listen to what he says. He does not agree with us, with what we think. We have experience. This man destroys. He is dangerous. The scribes, that is to say, the intellectuals of all times, reject him. Every time the Lord of Glory has come to the world, the intellectuals have been against him. They hate him mortally because he does not fit in with their theories. He signifies a danger to their system, to their sophisms, etc., etc. The priests reject him because all of them see him as a danger to their respective sects. Then, in the name of truth, I tell you that Christ is terribly revolutionary, rebellious. He is the fire that comes to burn all the scummy rottenness that we carry inside. He is the fire that reduces to ashes all our prejudices, our preconceptions, our created interests, our abominations, and even our experiences of a personal character. Do you believe, in fact, that Christ can be accepted by so many millions of humans who live in the world? You are mistaken. Every time he comes to the world, the multitudes rise against him. This is the cruel reality of the facts. I'm talking of the Holy Week. I say in the name of truth that only the Fohat seething in us can save us. No theory, nor any system, can take us to freedom. Those who want to pretend to eliminate the ego on the basis of pure reason with the cold intellect are being truly reactionary beings. Conservative, retardatory. They march on the path of the great error. This Babylon that we carry inside ourselves, this psychological city that we carry in our interior, the demons of lust, anger, greed, envy, pride, laziness, gluttony, etc., 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 must be destroyed with the fire. We need to raise the celestial Jerusalem inside ourselves. Remember that the foundations of the celestial Jerusalem are 12, and in each one of them is written the name of one apostle. The name of the 12 apostles are in the 12 foundations. We must edify this Jerusalem inside ourselves. But it will only be possible on the day that we destroy with fire the great Babylon, the mother of all fornications and abominations of earth, the psychological city that we carry in our interior. When we accomplish this, we will edify the celestial Jerusalem, here and now, inside ourselves. I repeat, the basis of this celestial Jerusalem are the 12 apostles. I am not referring to those who lived 2,000 years ago as merely symbolic. No, I am talking about the 12 apostles that exist inside ourselves. The 12 auto-conscious and independent parts of the being. These are the foundations of the Jerusalem that we must edify inside ourselves. The city of Jerusalem has 12 doors, and in each of the 12 doors there is an angel who represents the 12 inside of ourselves. The 12 doors are 12 precious pearls, 12 doors of liberty, 12 doors of light and splendor, and 12 cosmic powers. In the city, its streets, avenues, and plazas are of pure gold, the gold of the spirit that we must create in the forge of the Cyclops. The city has not the necessity of external light or sun or external moon, because the Lord is its light, is the fire, and he will shine inside ourselves. The wall of the great city has 144 codes. If we add those numbers in this way, 1 + 4 + 4, we will have 9, which is the 9th sphere, the sex. Only through transmutation of the creative energy are we going to be able to make the fire shine within ourselves. The city is of 12,000 stadiums. It reminds us of the 12 works of Hercules, necessary to achieve the complete intimate realization of the being. It reminds us of the 12 aeons, and also of the 12 apostles. In the center of this city is the tree of life, the 10 Sephiroths, the Hebraic Kabbalah, Kether, Chokmah, and Bina. With the Sephirotic crown, Chesed, Geburah, Tifereth, Netzach, Hod, Jesod, and Malkuth, the 7 regions of the universe. The tree of life allegorizes the 12 great cosmic regions. Happy is he who arrives at the 13th aeon, where the Pistis Sophia should always be. Inside the celestial Jerusalem, we also find the 24 who prostrate to the earth, deposit the crowns at the feet of the Lamb, that immolated Lamb of fire that shines in this universe, from the aurora of creation, from the dawning of this universe. The 24 elders are also 24 parts of our own being. Happy is he who can nourish oneself from the fruits of the tree of life, because he will be immortal. Happy is he who can nourish himself with each one of those fruits. He who can really nourish himself with that current of life that comes from the 13th aeon to the human body will never know illness and will be immortal. But in order to be able to nourish oneself from the tree of life, it is necessary above all to have eliminated all the psychic aggregates. Remember that the psychic aggregates are the living personifications of our errors that alter our vital body, and the latter damages the physical body when altered. This is how disease and illness take place in us. Who is the one that causes the ulcers? Is it not anger? Who is the one that causes cancer? Is it not lust? Who is the one that causes paralysis? Is it not the gross, materialistic, selfish, and fatal life? The diseases are caused by the psychic aggregates, or demons of Seth, living personifications of our errors. When all the red demons of Seth have been eliminated with the fire, when our own personality has been burned, then we can nourish ourselves with the tree of life. Life, descending from the Absolute through the 13th aeons, will penetrate into our body, and it will make us immortal. Thus health is gained, and there will never be illness. Useless are the scientists with all their methods of cure. If they cure the patient, he will be sick again. It is true that the ego injects the venom of its morbidity and rottenness inside the organism and destroys them. Here is the origin of all diseases. People want a remedy to cure themselves, but as long as the ego is alive, people will always be sick. The hour has come to understand that we need to burn down the Babylon inside ourselves and to edify the Jerusalem. The celestial Jerusalem, seen from afar, is like a jasper, like the crystal. It is the philosopher's stone, because he will transform himself radically. He will have powers over fire, over the air, over the waters, and over the earth. We need a pure esoteric Christianity, a living Christianity that can transform us radically. The Gnostic movement, the Gnostic Church, and our Gnostic anthropological studies will show humanity the path of liberation. But as we are now, with the ego alive, strong and robust, we march on the path of errors. We need to learn to love the fire, to work in reality with the mysteries of the fire. Inverencial peace, Samael Weor.